Imagine a vibrant discussion between people that includes both openness and critical thought in the pursuit of truth. The Purchasing Truth podcast is an experience, a journey, an exploration of the impact that negative messages in politics and the media have on our families, community, society, and nation. Join your hosts, Bill Stierle and Tom Hazard, to discover new concepts and language strategies that will reveal effective ways of establishing truth. This podcast series will tackle current events, leadership challenges, healthcare confusion, integrity in business, and many other areas that affect us all. Gain clarity and understanding of the various truth perspectives. Welcome to Purchasing Truth.
Welcome back to Purchasing Truth. I'm Tom Hazard, along with Bill Stierle. And, Bill, I think we're in the middle of convention season for the Democrats and the Republicans. And, there's seems to be a lot of polls that are indicating that, Biden has a lead even beyond any margins of errors, if you believe polls. And I know a lot of people don't believe polls. But, usually at this time of year, after conventions, there's always a convention bounce, right, for each candidate.
There is.
And then things return to, normal, so to speak, in terms of polling. And it certainly looks like, and there's a lot of ifs in this statement, if the voting system works, if every vote is counted, and if, there isn't a major surprise, Biden is likely to win the election. Now, right. But there's always a danger of an October surprise. And this obviously there get to be sort of a lot of theories about this. And I think everybody sort of is waiting for that October surprise. When's that shoe going to drop? And we've had some in the past, right?
Yeah, the need for truth and trust is so sensitive. People are looking for stability with truth and trust. They'd rather go with a bias, something I voted for in the past, rather than say, wait a minute, let me stare that thing down. Could that really even be possible? Wow. I trust this person, but doesn't this message look like it's a little timely or out of place? And once you get the confused mind, once you get the mind into the state of doubt, confused, skeptical, hesitant, the voter will default to the elephant brain, will default to the habit brain, and will vote in that direction. So they're just waiting for that one little piece of evidence that they put on their side, going like, no, I'm going with this guy rather than this gal. And that's a little bit about what happened with Comey backtracking on, we found this other set of database. Well, we don't know, so we're going to investigate this other thing on Hillary's email. Oh, I'm sorry, after the election, we didn't find anything. It was like, but you don't know what you just did. What you just did is create the doubt and skepticism for the voter. And that doubt and skepticism caused the person to go like, well, I'm not sure. I don't want to vote for this person. I'm voting for this person because this person is claiming that they know the real answer. And I'm going to take their confidence as truth. Notice he doesn't sell truth. He sells confidence. He sells, I know. I'm rich. I know how to manage big money. And all of the people around him know he does not know how to manage big money. He does not know how to be mindful, turn a profit, create the value that needs to be created. He compromised. He didn't do any of those things. So the challenge when we get to the October surprise is that it's the one little grain of rice that gets moved over to one side from a propaganda position that says, wait a minute, he's not, here's the piece of evidence that I need. So, I watch I watch ads and videos and things on both sides. I watch both groups of people put out their messaging, and I'm going like, oh, this is a really, it's a bunch of videos that are clipped together about Joe Biden. Like What Happened to Joe is one of the latest Republican videos. What happened to Joe? And the answer is, yeah, he's older than he used to be, is what happened to Joe, just like your guy. Is what happened to Joe. And you're literally taking years of video footage from him and going like, well, these are the little snippets. It's like, how you and I can, if we want to, edit the worst things we say out. Well, this is editing the worst things in to create a message that is not really fully true about the person. It has a partial truth to it, but it's not fully true because of the way the video has been edited.
And honestly, I think the Democrats are guilty of the same thing with Trump. They take his
totally guilty,
his greatest worst hits, really, if you will, and put them together and make him look absurdly absurd, I guess.
That's right.
They all do that. I mean, actually, interestingly, the age debate, I don't think the age debate is going to land very well. They're both old. And honestly, Biden's camp should be putting out a video showing him riding a bicycle, doing some physical exercise, and then Trump, gingerly stepping down the ramp at the, that military graduation. But they haven't really done that, surprisingly. So October surprises.
That could be an October surprise.
Oh wow!
See, it's the grain of sand principle. It's like I'm moving this little grain of sand over here because I'm going to tip the scale of that. Really the 10% of the voters. They know they struggle with the people on anything on the other side of moderate. They on both sides struggle with that. We're not going to get the folk over here because their bias is so deeply entrenched on other side bad. And they're looking for evidence of other side bad. Instead of going, other side people, we're people here, they're people there. What is their point of view again? Because that's a vibrant, democracy is. These are people trying to discuss difficult issues, and let's keep our eye on the ball here, but they can't keep their eye on the ball because their limbic brain, their elephant brain is saying, I'm going with what I have invested in, loyal to, and what I know, not necessarily to what's true. And that's the thing that's, also pretty upsetting, in this process of things too. So how do we take a look at the propaganda messages and figure out where the October surprise is going to be? Is it going to be a message like, I have the vaccine, I got it from Russia, they are helping us with this. It shows that I can work together with foreign nations there. Now, there's a third of the people that will instantly believe him. No questions asked. I have a relationship with, I can work with. There's another third of the people going like, what are you doing? And you're just telling your third a message that is not in the well-being of America, and it's also not in the well-being of truth, because it's going to magically disappear just like all the other promises that you made for us. So that it's the third in the middle that I'm scared about. It's like how much of them are going to go to, let's take another chance on this guy. how many of them are going to go like, I'm not taking another chance on this guy?
Yeah, how many of them are going to take the bait? Because honestly, that's really what it is bait. You know, it's trying to, you know, win them back over. And you know, if you don't believe I accomplished everything I said I was going to do the first time, well, this is going to be something you're going to want to keep me around for, because without me, you're not going to get this vaccine. That's what he's going to try to say, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, you know, he doesn't really have a relationship with, you know, Biden doesn't have a relationship with Putin the way I have a relationship with Putin. And, you know, and that's just going to cut off our chances of getting the vaccine that we need. I can imagine some narrative that's similar to that coming out. They're going to look at what are the things that we're going to fly out week over week over week. This is a ground game. This is a block and tackle. This is a off, you know, and to use a football metaphor, I'm running off tackle and you got to see if you can stop me. And by the way, I'm going to keep pounding you with this message, and then you're weak on that side. Then I'm going to give another message, and we're going to pound on the other side with a new message. And, you know, it's like, you know, so
I would think, while that would be a powerful October surprise, or a powerful attempt at an October surprise. I mean, I could see Biden and the Democrats counteracting that, saying, well, you can go get that vaccine from Russia, Trump, but I'm going to work with our American pharmaceutical companies here in the United States and create the best. You know, there's a way you could make this about unity of America and coming in, right?
Yeah. That's right. It's perfect.
But I could still see him making that pitch, the October surprise, I have a vaccine and it came from Russia.
So he set up a straw man that has some truth to it regarding voter fraud. And the question is, how much of a truth does it have? And do different party members do things on both sides of the aisle to try to exclude or not exclude votes and things like that? Are there efforts that are being taken place? And I would say, yeah, that would be pretty easy to say, yeah, because there's certain laws, not having enough machines, getting rid of machines, getting rid of mailboxes. I mean, literally what you're doing is you're getting rid of mailboxes. It's like, how did somebody ever let that happen? You know, well, somebody was told to pick up all these mailboxes and you can't put them in. You can't vote by mail because you're putting it in. That means you have to come to the post office. And then we're going to, understaff them so they have no time to process it. So now all of a sudden we're dismantling the infrastructure. You know, and this is what deregulation does. It's like, oh yeah, we just want to take it apart. This is 1980s, business garage sale stuff. It's like, how this company is really vested and it's got this. It's like, great, let's break it apart and sell it into pieces, and we can make a lot of money because we just ruined everybody's lives and the business is not viable anymore, and we looted their pension fund and whatever, right? So these different messages is that I've got this handled. Here's how I'm handling it. Meanwhile, what's going on is that there's not a strong narrative about how to, really work as a nation to live to the value of one person, one vote. Got to live to that value. All right. So let's suppose one of an October supply prize could be, I am going to eliminate the thing that I've been talking most about. I'm going to figure out how to deal, and I have the answer. I have great people. I have great technology. I'm going to solve the voter fraud problem. But wait a minute. Is there really a problem? Or is it a problem? And how big is it? And what scale does it fit? Does that make sense?
That makes sense. It would, the fact that maybe there isn't much of a problem would sort of make it an easy problem for him to solve, wouldn't it? but if he labels it and owns it that he solved it, I mean, that's great. But it hurts him if he doesn't win the election, if he solves voter fraud. See, I think that if he wins the election legitimately, then he claims that, Monday morning quarterback hero position of having solved it. If he loses, then he labels the system as tainted and broken, and the Democrats killed it, and we can't trust it. He needs to be able to cast doubt on the voter system if he loses. Don't you think?
Yeah, he does. He does. What is my winning narrative so that I am showing confidence and strength? And that confidence and strength is the rice, the piece of rice I keep moving across. See, every message that he does is not about truth. It's about moving the rice over to the other side of the scale. Every time we're on this, Tom, you take the bait. You go, yeah, but how about the fact? I'm going like, yeah, dude, we're not moving facts here. It's not mattering.
I have to stop doing that.
It's out, but it's also just noticing. You and I consistently notice is the message is the rice that's moved onto one side of the scale, and the vote and the thing tightens because the race tightens is because it's the person moving the rice messages over the type of scale to tilt the person's belief structure in the direction they want, and then that becomes really interesting or vibrant.
So the message moves some people of that middle third over to his camp to vote for him, and the facts don't really pull them back.
No, it does not. So, see, all a voter needs to do to get their vote is to acknowledge one thing that political leader did for them. One thing. Even if they did 10 things that were against them, they need to they will anchor on the one thing. And that's always, it's important when we take a look at communication, beliefs, and biases, is that if we look at the one thing that really makes a big difference, it's what's valuable to me as a person, as a human being. What need is that meeting of mine? So it meets my need for integrity or truth or trust, or it meets my need for support or fairness. I mean, and if all I got to do is put one or two of those things, I said, at least he did this, at least he did this. And it's the same thing with all the different candidates. We're being very agnostic here. It's like the person is voting towards the thing that it looks like this person is confident about this thing. But meanwhile, there might be an entire wreckage that thing has caused, and even to the person that believes there isn't a wreckage piece to it, they're not necessarily seeing the pros and cons, and the person that's making the decision with the kind of confidence, hey, I made my best effort. This is what I did for us. This is why we're better off. Yeah, and that's why it doesn't matter what party of what president goes out and does a speaking tour. There'll be plenty of people in the stadium when the stadiums open up. There's plenty of people there to hear him speak because they're listening for the reassuring and reinforcing of the message that they voted for, that they're loyal to, in the past. So, very, 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 very interesting. Very, very, challenging. Could the October surprise be that, Joe Biden comes on stage and he introduces all the former presidents and brings them and invites them to say a word or two, all the former presidents? Could, if Republicans and all of them come up and say something? Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, we're endorsing this guy. And then now that takes that middle third. It doesn't trust the other. It doesn't move the other third, by the way. It doesn't, the 35% is going to stay where it is. The 33% staying where it is. It takes that middle third and goes, wait a minute. and the ones that are closer to the other side, that brings it into the 49 percentile. And then it's like, how much does it creep over to the other side and to see what it really actually looks like, so.
Well, and there's another potential October surprise that would have a different kind of impact, not a conventional one, I think. But we're hearing that Fox News has behind the scenes made a offer to Donald Trump to be the CEO of Fox News. And so, when that news hits the light of day, I mean, here's the reality. I think we all know Trump didn't really expect to be president in the first place. He's very frustrated with the daily briefings and being a leader, and he wants it done his way, not the way. He hasn't grown into the job. I don't think he really wants to be there. But if he gets to sort of be the arbiter of what is fake news and what's real news in his mind, he would probably really enjoy that a whole lot more, and he'd be in the limelight, all the time again.
Yeah,
in a way he can control it.
Yeah, so he buys out Rupert Murdoch. He becomes the CEO of Fox. He gives those messages forward the way he would like the truth to be told, the way he would like the messages to be, crafted and moved. And he's going to just stay with the messages that work. He is a tester and a evaluator of his own performances. He watches his stuff and sees what lands, what doesn't land, what gets applause, what doesn't get applause, what moves, what doesn't move. How can I reinforce this? And then he moves to the next message. So, I mean, every human being communicates like they're throwing spaghetti on the wall. You and I are throwing spaghetti on the wall in a different kind of way. We like to meet the need for integrity or trust and bring our best belief structures forward. But a lot of times we don't have all the full information and different pieces of information show up. So, Trump's job, his next job, is it going to be the CEO of Fox News, or does he go back to the life that he was? I'm not sure if it's going to be quite as exciting as it once was in that position. And, will there be, the people calling him to do things that are as engaged as The Apprentice or some of these other things in the future? Yeah, there's opportunities, but every human being needs an off-ramp. Every human being needs a place to transition. Here's my identity here, and here's my identity over here. So, Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton are in the same spot this way. They've got to, they're either transitioning into this or they're transitioning over there. Hillary Clinton didn't think that for 4 years she would be, punching the clock at home with, being a grandma. I mean, she didn't think that was going to be her job. She thought the other job was going to be her job, because that was her career and that was what she built her resume around. All the different things she did in those resume spots. Senator of New York, all the, Secretary of State,
Yeah, when you think about it, the Fox News, job offer for Trump really makes a lot of sense if you're him, because, the coronavirus is a curveball he got thrown that he never anticipated having to deal with.
Right.
And it took away all the wind in his sails of the strong economy, right? I mean, all these things that he would be riding much more easily to re-election. And, I could see him very easily saying, well, that's okay. Even though the election was rigged and I lost it, I don't really want it anyway. I'm going to go on and make a difference here at Fox News. And I'd just love to see someone in the press corps ask him about it. Ask him, about the job offer and see, because, while he won't confirm it, you know that his ego can't stay away from the light. He's probably going to say,
That's right.
they should want me to be CEO. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Some people would say that.
I would be everybody is saying I would be great at it.
Great at that job.
It'll meet his need for self-worth so much.
It would.
That, and then, so I think it'd be great if someone in the press corps actually asked him that question to confirm, is it true
is it true?
The CEO position at Fox News? Because
of their relationship, you have a strong relationship with all the different people over there, and you've met with them, you've interviewed with them, you've helped them with their careers, and here's the next step for you. It's like, are you gonna take that step? If for some reason you don't win the election for whatever reason, will you take that job? And the question is that will he either say, no, that's a rumor, I'm staying where I am, or will his self-worth and his respect and his ego say, well, I could easily do that job. I'm a very smart guy. I can do those kinds of things. Now, it would be an interesting off-ramp for him to take language-wise, because if he really doesn't want to be there, he now has his out. He has now his respectful step. Even if he doesn't get it, it would be, he still has his, I'm gonna fight the battle of fake news. And the way to fight the battle of fake news is to be in charge of real news. And these are the real news people, and I'm going to be on their side, and they like me, and they want me to be there with them, and these are my colleagues. They all like me over there. I might as well work with people I like, and provide leadership and wisdom and talking points to them, and give them guidance on what the real news is. It would be an interesting, shift to take place. So, and the press corps asking that question would be a really important question, because it's like, what are you going to do after? If, it looks like the polls are kind of like this, and you're talking about voter fraud like this, and if you don't win, I don't know, would does this job offer seem interesting to you? And see if that's a way he can keep his need for respect and make his transition in a way that's graceful. Because if a person doesn't have a respectful transition to go to, they tend to get stuck on hanging on to things,
right.
And that tends not to go so well, because if all things need to transition. All things need to change hands. It's like, what a difference, right? It's like, and this is one way to create some ease and create some opportunity for the person's message, because we do have a messaging propaganda problem, is that, any message that comes out has to be faced and dealt with, and even a no response is still a yes response. No, I haven't heard anything about that. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, would you be interested? And the answer is, his answer is, I am committed to be the president of the United States. I can never imagine him saying that sentence.
I can't imagine him saying that either, because I don't think his heart is really there. I mean, I think he probably would much rather be on TV at Fox News, or be in charge of it and help guide that ship. I think he would honestly like that a whole lot more.
That's right.
He has to, and I don't think he's disciplined enough, quite honestly, to deny it and not talk about it and not speculate. He always says, well, we'll see what happens. He always injects that uncertainty.
He does. And that makes it more enticing. He doesn't, it makes it more important instead of a straight turn down. See, a turn down, there's a double-edged sword to it. It meets the need for truth, but it also dampens or eliminates dopamine. I mean, it's the famous, John McCain and the woman coming on the thing and says, well, he's a Muslim. And he's going like, no, he's not. And he's meeting the need for truth, but it is dampening the belief structure that someone else's faith, the enthusiasm that John McCain was going to save us from a Muslim.
Oh, if John McCain had not denied it and let it sort of hang out there, not embraced it necessarily or perpetuated, but just not denied it.
Not denied it.
He might have won that election. That was a big moment in that election. That was a surprise of unfortunately McCain's own making that didn't help him. I respect him because he had integrity.
Oh yeah.
I respect him as an individual, and honestly, I wish he, were president instead of Trump, quite honestly. But
for sure.
But anyway, sorry, sidetrack.
Sure.
Yeah. Those are powerful moments in an election, I mean,
really
if somebody, if the press corps or somebody, if this, story gets the light of day and, somebody does ask President Trump, or maybe he doesn't, they don't ask him, somebody is going to need to ask Fox News leadership, is there any truth to it? They're going to have to make some sort of statement here at some point, right?
That's right. Yeah, they're going to need to make a statement. No, we didn't offer him anything, and no, he's where there was no offer or discussion. But meanwhile, we don't know if there's any offer or discussion going on, and that's where the uncertainty of the discussion goes on. And those are the things that start and are part of the grain of rice narrative about leadership is not committed. And once we get a sense that leadership is not committed, then all of a sudden it's that leadership is not committed can be an open narrative, So it'll be interesting because the messaging, I mean, this is a communication show, so messaging about how certain messages affect our physiology and allow us to make decisions has some predictability to it, but the uncertainty has to do with is that people don't know how to use the predictability. That's the weird part. It's like, wait a minute, is this an integrity issue or is this a fairness issue? Because those two things are like, they can be very different, so they can be really different. All right. Well, so it looks like we got some stuff to do here, huh? Yeah, about this, because we've got a little bit of things to do. Yeah.
I think it'll be very interesting as we go through September and into October to see what kind of surprises really do occur. And as they do at the time, we're going to want to talk about those in a very timely manner, very quickly and have some discussions about them, how they're, how the messages are put out, and then how you might, counteract that message if you could, or what the impact is, all that. That'll be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, it really will be. The messaging, the flooding of messaging, confuse where truth is to be found. That's putting a lot of grains of rice around and not sure which one is the one that you need. It's like where is that point of, data or, information, where is it? And how can we create a little bit of wisdom out of it, or a little bit of insight out of it, at least, so that is a significant part of the equation too. So anyways, all right. Well, more to come on this, Tom, and looking forward to our next thing. We'll have a lot of things to talk about next time, even from the place of, the wrap up of the Democratic convention, and we can really take a look about who got messages of truth to stick and who didn't, And so
I look forward to that.
And because there's some messages that did stick and some didn't, and some were taken out of context, and we can take a look at that too. So that's really helpful.
Well, and I think maybe also to look at some of the rebuttals to some of the messages, because what we've seen is the president is not staying away from commenting on these things. He's using his Twitter platform to try to rebut or make his own counter message stick. So I think we should take a peek at that too.
I think so too. That allows us to help to see where the dopamine is moving and where the loyalty shifts and how a person's bias gets activated and then captured. So anyways,
okay,
so there's
great.
More to come. All right, Tom. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bill.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this Purchasing Truth podcast. We trust that you have enjoyed this engaging and thought-provoking conversation. Our hope is that you've received value, found clarity, and broadened your truth perspective in this episode. If you did, leave us a review or visit our website, purchasingtruth.com. Join us again for another informative and content-rich discussion here at the Purchasing Truth podcast. Don't just accept whatever information comes your way. Join the discussion. Discover your own voice. Purchase your own truth.